When you work with pre-built 3D models, your primary goal may simply be to place them into some scenes, but I suggest you go beyond that to customize the way they look. And you also might want to check into some extra features that might be available that you're not seeing the first time you open them up. So I'm going to go through a few examples here using some models that we provide with this course. Let's just open up Photoshop. And I want you to open up the carafe. So you go File, Open, and inside Working Files, go to the third-party models, and open up Oil and Vinegar Carafe, and then click on this one here, the OBJ file. Then click on the selection tool so you can see things a little bit more in 3D. This model has one mesh and 4 materials: steel, rubber, glass, and oil. The rubber stopper's there, we got the glass, and the oil's inside, which is kind of cool, and the steel is also inside. But none of these guys have any kind of characteristics. There is no file associated with any of them. You need to fill in the blanks. It's like color by numbers. So let's start off with the rubber there. Probably should be black, I think. So let's use a preset for that. Here's a preset that might work. There you go. Let's take a look at the glass. It should be transparent, I think. Doesn't have to be, but since it's glass, let's make it transparent. So let's scroll down here and see if we can find a transparent one. This one looks like it'll work. Click on that. And let's take a look at the steel. Steel's this thing right there. I suppose if it's steel, it should be silver, but we don't have to follow that rule, right? We can do something else. Let's go make it, I don't know, blue. How about that? And then finally the oil. Click on that. Oil should be just a color, I think. So I just click on the color up here. Let's pick a color that's appropriate for oil. Maybe something like that. And it should be sort of transparent. So let's just knock the opacity down to something like 50%. Reflective and very refractive because it's oil, maybe about 1.4 something. And there you have it. Now, if I render this thing, it's going to take a while to render because we've got refraction, we've got transparency, and we've got reflection. But we'll just get it started anyway so you get a sense of what it's like. I'll fast forward this. All right, that's a single pass, but I think you can see how that's going to turn out. So again, you might get a 3D model like this, and it's basically up to you to figure out how it's going to look. Let's open up another model here. Let's go up to this 3D menu here. New 3D layer from File. Let's open up the fish, the arowana. Open it up like that. And we'll turn off the carafe down below it. And we'll turn off the selection. Now this arowana has a texture file. The texture file covers everything. So no matter where I click here, be it there or on a fin, what have you, when I click a second time, it'll open up its materials. And if I go to edit the texture file here, like so, it'll be that little image file that applies to everything. So if I want to make just some body part look a little bit different, I can do that. And here's one way to do that. I'm going to go get the selection tool here, the quick selection tool. I'm going to select this fin here, just kind of select it like that. I want to adjust the color of just that fin, so I'm going to add an adjustment layer over here. Hue saturation. When I do that, it's going to have a layer mask there that takes that selection into account. So we're just going to affect just the color of that fin. Let's just change it like this. Let's make it a little more saturated. Make it redder. And now we're done. But I want to go over here and open up the window and arrange it so you can see them side by side there. Click over here. And there we go. That's how we change that one fin. No matter what we click on here, this texture file is applied to everybody, everything inside the image, so we can change something that way. Let's change the whole body here. I'm going to select this again over here. Take the selection tool down here. Make sure we have the background selected. Select this whole thing in the center like that. Let's add another adjustment layer. Have this one be something like photo filter. And we'll change the color of that toward green, I guess. It'll make it look pretty bad. There you go. It's reflecting just that part of its body. Click over here. There you go. If I click over here with the selection tool, click on the whole thing, I'll open this up so you can get the whole thing selected under root like that. Let's close this down so you can see what we're doing here. Twist them around like so. It's on both sides, as you can see there. All right. But we're not done here. Just with this texture file, we can also add a little bit of bumpiness. So let's go back over here. And if I just select one of these guys, click on one, click it again, opens up materials, go to bump, and let's load up a texture file. And we'll load the same one we've been working with. Now notice it says Cineon down here. Whenever you load up something using the 3D menu, it opens up the Cineon the next time you open File. So I need to go down here and say, let's load up every format if you don't mind. And let's go here and get this BMP file. That is the texture file. That'll now be a bump file. Let's see what happens when we do that. I'm going to change the arrangement here. Go back to all to tabs. And let's make it a little bumpy. Look at that. So you can use the diffuse texture files that come with 3D models as bump texture files. All right, let's open up another file here. Go up to 3D, new 3D layer from file. Going to open up the red apple. Right there. It comes with two different textures. You might not notice that when you first take a look at it. So I click at it once, click it again to get its material selected. I go over here and I want to edit the texture. You notice that it's empty because it's gray. You'd expect it to be empty. So let's replace that once, twice. Here again, replace the texture. Again, we got the Cineon thing here. Now there's one texture and there's another one. This is the prettier of the two. I'll select that. There you go. And again, we could use the same texture file as a bump map. Let's take a look at the other texture that comes with this. Over here, replace the texture. This is an apple that doesn't look like it's very happy. But again, you have choices of texture files. Now I'll do one more thing. Go 3D, new 3D layer from file, and go back over here to the horse. We'll turn off the fish and the apple. Adios. This horse really is a very nice 3D model. Click on it, rotate it around a bit. Now if we want to change it a little bit, there are three different materials here. There's mane, which doesn't mean the horse's mane, it means the mane horse hair. Then it says hair, which actually means the mane. Then there's just an eye texture. Each one's different. It's not like one big thing like the fish. So I'm going to go to horse mane here and edit that texture file. It's already loaded up. That's what it looks like. But we can change this one. Let's just add an adjustment layer, like hue saturation. We can make it more saturated. A little bit ruddier like that. Click this to close it and say, yep, we'll save it. And it'll change the appearance of the horse like that. We could do that to this mane here as well. But there's something additional that you would probably not notice if you didn't know that you could check for such things. This file comes with two normal files. Now I mentioned that normal files are things that are pretty hard to create, but they allow you to have more contours without creating a whole bunch of polygons. Let me just take a look at that. I'll click on the material again here for the hair. I'll do that one first. Let me open this up here, and down at the bottom there's normal. If you go over here and say load texture, and the texture is horse mane and hair. Now look how colorful they are. This is what defines the contours. So I'll double click on that. All right, let me just click away here for a second. Let's take a before and after. I'll zoom in a bit, Control Command plus, hand tool here to take a look at that. And I'll just go back one notch, Controller Command Z. That's the before. Controller Command Z again. Come back. Now that's sort of interesting, but let's take a look at the whole body when we take that normal map. Come back over here. Click on the horse mane, which is M-A-I-N. All the hair here, that's highlighted. This other stuff is not highlighted when it turns kind of gray like that. Go down to its normal. Load up that texture. This is the horse mane normal. It gives it some contours. It's not perfect, but you'll see how it works. Gives it a rib cage. That looks a little odd, so does that. But you can see at least this artist gave it the old college try here. To try to use the normal, give it just a little bit more shape. To do all this kind of rib cage things with a bunch of polygons is kind of tough, but the normal map gave it that extra little bit of texture like that. So again, when you work with 3D models, feel free to edit them, and also look for any extra features that might be tucked away inside their file folders.